Welcome to 123 Minimize, the podcast about easy minimalism for busy moms with Jody and Linnea.
Today we are going to be answering questions from our members. Okay, our first question is, how do you store kids' clothes without a dresser? So I'll start with that one because years ago we had a house with small bedrooms and I got rid of all of our dressers. Our dressers were old. The drawers were always getting stuck. I didn't want kids climbing up the dresser, because they could fall on them. And I know people attached it to the wall, but I thought, I'm just going to get rid of everything. So what we did is we hung everything in the closet, and then we had like a shoe organizer. It's a little bit larger. I think I got it from IKEA, but they're at all stores. And you hang it in the closet, and then it has little cubbies. And so it was 8 cubbies going down, or maybe it was 9. I'm trying to think here. And I put the folded outfits in the front of the little cubby and the pajamas in the back. So every day, this is when my kids were little and weren't so picky about what they were wearing and style, And so pajama set at the back of the cubby, outfit at the front. And then I had 8 sets of that. And that way you could really go a whole week and then have a laundry day. So it I know little kids get dirty and stuff, so sometimes that whole thing would be worn in like 5 days. And then at the bottom it was a little bit bigger thing, and it had socks and underwear. So then everything else was hung up, and we had no need for dressers at all. As far as like seasonal changes, then we had a bin at the top in the shelf of the closet that either had the sweaters and the long pants or the shorts. And so when the new season came, I just switch it out and make up the clothing sets that way. And that actually worked. All of my kids had that experience at some point in their life, but I was able to sell the dressers on probably Craigslist back then, or Marketplace. And we still do not have dressers at our house. So it's a little bit different now how we do it. Maybe it's like a bin in a closet or a bin on a shelf, but not like that full dresser. So I almost sometimes forget that people have dressers. So do you guys have dressers in your RV?
No, we don't. No, we use the built-in things that came with our RV mostly. Yep. So in our master bedroom, we have cupboards above the bed that I use for folded things, pants, shorts, all my hiking clothes I fold and put up there. And then there's a skinny little cupboard on the side of my bed that has hooks. And I've got clothes hanging. And then inside that cupboard, I also have one of those like plastic drawer things that just has like my socks and underwear. So that's pretty much it. For the kids, it's been a little different. We did kind of remodel their bunk room. So we started out with bins. And that was not working so well because each kid just had one bin and all their stuff was in there. We recently changed it now. We got these roll out. They're like under bed storage type things. Not very big. A roll out thing that unzips and they have all their clothes in there. And then we found these little, the kids call them logs. There's like a laundry bag. They're like it looks like a log. It unzips, but it has compartments inside of it. And it's just a cloth mesh bag. And that's where they keep their socks and underwear and like their deodorant in there, and it zips up. So that really is handy, especially for my boys. They don't love to like keep things organized and like compartmentalized, but to have it so easy like that, it's really easy for them to grab. So, and then one of my kids has a cupboard that's in the kids' bedroom, and she loves to roll her clothes. She's very neat and organized, and she cares a lot. So she sorts things by color and rolls everything, and it fits into a little like bin without a lid, and it just sits on the shelf there, and that works for her.
Yeah, my youngest, he likes to organize things like that.
Oh yeah?
Yeah, different personalities for sure, and that's okay, You gotta work with whatever their personality is. Okay, here's another question from another member. How do you organize vacuum cleaner attachments? Do you have a vacuum cleaner in your...
We have a shop vac.
Okay. Is it big? Where do you store it?
We keep it in our truck bed, which is a topper, because we do not have a fifth wheel, so we don't need that, I don't even know what they call it, the connector that connects into the back.
Yep.
Where we have a bumper pull. So our garage is in our truck bed. So I don't have any tips on this. Do you?
Yeah, so we have a Shark vacuum that has that like non-hair wrap thing on it, so long hair doesn't get wrapped, and it's amazing because I used to spend like every other weekend cutting. All of us have long hair, so cutting the hair off of the bristle brushes, and it actually does work. We don't cut hair off of the vacuum anymore. But it has a spot where you can attach some of the attachments to it, but more attachments came with a vacuum. So first of all, you need to think, what attachments are you really planning to use, and what do you just not need? Because it comes with ones that you might not need, right? Second of all, I just put the rest in a little bin in the closet, in like the back entry closet where the vacuum is stored. So it's not on the floor. Sometimes if people are using them throughout the house, you have to go and pick them up. Like, because you're busy cleaning, it's like, put this attachment here, I'll be back for you, you know?
Yeah.
So, and also vacuum filters. That's something that people don't always think about, but typically your vacuum will have multiple filters. I mean, ours has multiple filters. And so I keep all of my filters together. So any type of filter. So like for air purifiers or anything like that, just together. So keep like things together, and it works. But I keep those in the laundry room, the filters. Because I don't want them crushed or dirty or wet. So up in a cupboard works for us. So. Okay. How many outfits do you buy each child for back to school shopping?
Well, we school year round, so I don't have a very clear, I don't have that,
back to school
feel. Back to school, But when we do get new clothes, we usually just pull out everything that they have. We look at it all, make sure that all the stuff fits them, that things don't have holes, donate stuff that's too small. And I kind of just write down how many shirts they have, how many pants. We kind of categorize, like, we have like our hiking stuff. We do a lot of hiking, or like yard play, things that I would not necessarily want them to wear if we went somewhere, like even to the store or into town. So we kind of have the play hike clothes, and then we have like the nicer clothes that don't have any stains on them. And then we have a few clothes that are like real nice that we'd wear like to church or to a wedding or a funeral. So back to school, back when we were not RVing, I would maybe just get them a couple outfits. But we were homeschooling, so they would just do a co-op, and that was once every other week. So we didn't have that where people are going every day. So I can't speak to that, but for homeschooling with a co-op, we just get a couple
fresh
outfits. Mostly like maybe one pair of pants and a few different shirts that they could mix and match. Yeah,
so not just about back to school, but seasonally, I'll go through the closet and be like, okay, there's a lot of holes in the knees of this. That's way too small, and clean it out that way, and then make a little list of like, maybe this kid needs a couple t-shirts and this or that to get ready for the next season. Check the snow pants, check the boots, things you don't use all the time, just to make sure it fits before you plow into that season and can't find anything because it's all sold out. When my daughter went to a school with uniforms, then I would try to have uniform, like one for each day, and then wash. But she was young, so you get stuff on your uniform and stuff. And they had used uniform sales. So I would go to that swap and try to grab some stuff. But also uniform clothes are not typically that expensive. I think a lot of stores try to keep it budget friendly and simple. So yeah, it was just one a day. Because I didn't want to get to like, I've had a rough week with the baby and the toddler, and now she has nothing clean and she has to wear something dirty to school. And a week can just fly by.
I know.
So really with all outfits, clothes, I try to have like, for regular clothes, maybe an 8. If you're looking for sets, 8. Then you have that one buffer day. Or for like work week, like 5. You can just rotate. It doesn't have to be in order. You can rotate all of the on different days. So you aren't wearing the same thing every Monday, but that's kind of my minimum, I feel like, is a good routine for me, so I don't have to do all that laundry until the weekend. Okay, so this member is asking, they are moving soon and would like to start over with their cleaning routine. Does anybody have a schedule? So we actually have a free cleaning schedule on our website at 123minimize.com. So you can download it for free. There's no cost, and some cleaning tips and a cleaning schedule.
Yeah.
Yeah, so there's the answer to that question.
Yeah.
Okay, so this question is from somebody who is about to close on their first house. And they are wanting to get started packing, but they want to make it effortless and as easy as possible. And then they're concerned that if the closing doesn't go through, they'll have to unpack everything. Okay, so I do have stuff to say about this because we moved 2 years ago and we really, really wanted to move. We wanted to move out of the city we were living in. Our house felt really small. The area felt dangerous all of a sudden. And after living there for 14 years, it was time. In many reasons, it was time. And so we were looking at houses all over within hours, just all over the place. So we didn't know where we were moving and we didn't know when we'd find the right house. And at that time, it was hard to get an accepted offer. So you'd put your house for sale and maybe you'd get 50 offers. So we didn't know if we'd actually end up moving or not. But I did start packing. So I cleared a spot. I had an open spot in the unfinished basement. And I started packing all the pictures on the wall, any kind of decorations, any kind of clothes that were from a different season, books, games, all that kind of stuff. I left out, of course, the books they were reading right now, or just anything that I thought I'm not going to use it in the next 30 days. So almost only leaving the stuff out that we would take on a trip. So I did use color coordinated duct tape. So kitchen had a color, living room had a color, a kid's bedroom had a color. And then, because sometimes when you're moving, it's like, where is the little pencil drawing of where does it say, where does this go? And if you're packing it months before you move, you're not going to remember what you put in there. And just in case you needed to go back and, oh shoot, I need this one little thing. I need to look in this box. I did quickly jot down what type of kitchen. This has this blah, 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 blah on it. And that little extra work was fine because I actually had time. I wasn't rushing, throw it in the truck, move. I had no idea where we were moving or if we were going to be moving, right? Yeah. Maybe after a month of looking, we just decide we need to stay here for a while longer. So I only packed stuff like that, which wasn't a ton of things, but it gave me that momentum of I feel like I'm working towards this thing that I want. And if we're going to be listing our house, I need to take down all the decor, all the pictures from 14 years. Patch and paint the walls anyway. Yeah. So let's get it all done, put up, and start actually working on patching and painting the walls and neutralizing the home so somebody else could picture themselves living in my home. So then we did find a house, and it was great because I was almost all the way done with packing. Wow. And then we, closed and moved into it, and then we listed our house for sale after, because at that time you really couldn't buy a house contingent on the sale of a home. Nobody would take your offer because there's so many better offers out there. So you had to say I'll buy this house and nothing will stop me from buying your house. And then they say, okay, I'll take your offer. But now you're responsible for dealing with,
Wow.
So it's a bit chaos, but that's my tips for starting to pack slowly is anything that you could do ahead of time. All the decor, anything like that to take it out.
I did that even when we lived in an apartment, although that might have been before we had kids. I'm not sure. But we didn't have an extra space. I just made a space in our living room to start stacking up boxes. And then another time that we moved, we got a small storage unit that we put stuff in just for a month or two while we were moving. And that way we got stuff out of the home. The other thing that I've done is I actually number the boxes. I make labels with numbers. And number them and then keep a spreadsheet with a detailed list of what's in it. And that's turned out to be super helpful for us, even with RVing, because we do keep a storage unit with some stuff that we go and get and rotate out from. And there's no way I would know what was in those boxes if I didn't have the details.
Yes, if you're going to be storing it for a long time. Yeah. That is an excellent idea. Really important. Okay, so this member asked, how can minimalist moms utilize ChatGPT to make their life easier? So, I've used it for menu planning, recipes. You can literally just say into it, make me a week-long menu, vegetarian, budget-friendly. And you might not like what it says, but you can actually say more or make it spicier or whatever, and it will come up with this menu plan. And then you could say, give me the recipes, and it'll give you the recipes. I'm sure they're not all perfect, but it does help to just kind of get, oh yeah, I forgot about that. Oh yeah, I haven't made that in years type feeling. Do you use it for anything like that?
I haven't.
Not yet.
Not yet.
Yeah.
Here's a question. This person is saying that they've been decluttering, but now they're in a slump. They've got rid of a lot of things, and they want to go further with the decluttering, but they don't know how.
Well, of course, I would mention signing up for one of our events. Because that really digs into it.
Yep.
And if you feel like you're in a slump and you need like community support, daily motivation, we have that.
Yep, absolutely. Sure. Yep. We also, on our page, we've got a lot of things on there as well. We draw from a popsicle stick several times a week, and it's just kind of like fun, random places that you maybe didn't think of that might be more bite-sized, small things that's not as overwhelming. This person is saying that they know they need to declutter, but it's hard when they think about the money that was spent on the items that they're about to get rid of. They get hung up on letting it go, feeling like they're losing money. Yeah. So what do you have to say about that?
Well, for myself, if it were over a certain dollar amount, I would try to sell it.
Yeah.
So if I felt like I could get over $50 for it, I might just list it on Marketplace for a week and see what happens.
Yeah.
But I have to have a time limit, and I'm not going to just list it for years. So I'm just going to cut it off at a time limit.
Yeah.
And so if it's like a big thing, like a piece of furniture, a more valuable thing, because that fixes that problem right there.
Right.
The other problem is I don't want to take, so you trade your time for money typically. Like I'm going to give my time working on a project or having a job or whatever, and they're going to give me money, and then I'm going to take that money and I'm going to buy this item. And now I feel like I put my time/money into the item. Yeah. So now I'm going to give more of my time and money to maintain the item, clean the item, sort the item. I'm just still giving to that item.
Right.
It's not stopping. It's still sucking more away from me.
Right.
I get rid of it.
Right.
Just cut your losses.
Yeah.
You know, realize that loss and move on. Like, yeah.
Especially if it's like adding to stress in your life. If it's creating chaos and it takes up mental space and emotional space. Here's another one. Someone's asking about, they have very little storage in their home, and they're wondering what creative ideas people have for storing things. Okay. And I have a lot I can say about this because we live in an RV, as you probably know, and we also have done some remodeling. So, like, for instance, in our living room, if you can call it that, it's like the living room, dining room, it's like the main area. It came with a U-shaped dinette that went around the living room. And we remodeled and took that out because, we had several reasons. But my point is, it had storage underneath it. Mm-hmm. And when we were remodeling, we were thinking, what are we going to do? Because we're going to be removing all of this storage that's there. However, it was really hard to get at. You had to get down on your hands and knees to fold down a little flap and reach your head way down by the floor. Yeah. So it wasn't exactly like the best. Yeah. So what we ended up doing was we got a couch from IKEA, and we did look. There were some couches that had storage in them. Mm-hmm. We ended up going with a different one. And they also had some under couch storage bins. Mm-hmm. And the couch was just barely too short, but we realized we could get new legs. Yeah. They were pretty cheap, like $10. Yeah. So we got some cool, modern looking wooden geometric legs that were just like a couple inches taller. Mm-hmm. It was like $10. Yeah. And swapped those out, and it raised the couch up just a tiny bit. And then we have 3 of these bins that are under our couch, and they look really nice. They all match, you know. And then we got a little stool, like an ottoman, that had storage inside of it. Mm-hmm. And the new table we got has 2 flaps that fold down, but it also has 6 drawers in it. Mm-hmm. And so we use that to store some of our dishes and some of a lot of the kids like pencils and pens and school supplies, things like that they need for school. Mm-hmm. So things like that, we literally take advantage of every square inch of storage that we could possibly find. Yeah. Because we have to, because there's no, it's an RV. It's only 36 feet long. So, so definitely finding, furniture, or like I said, those under couch bins, they were like $10 each. So it's not expensive, and it was a really great way to take advantage of that space. Mm-hmm. So.
And I think the key is to not store stuff you're not going to use.
Right.
And then you have storage space for the stuff you are
Yes.
using. So going through it.
Yeah, totally.
Often, because your needs for your stuff changes all the time.
It's true.
So something you were using one year, another year you might,
It's true.
I should get rid of this.
Actually, one of those bins has some supplies in it for painting that we've brought with, because I always pictured us as we RV and go out to these national parks and stuff doing like plein air painting and stuff with the kids. Mm-hmm. So we went through this whole remodel, and then that was a year ago, and this one bin has not been opened since we did that, and I was like, okay, either we're going to start using this stuff or we're going to be switching this out.
Yeah. Right?
Oh, man.
Yeah, so keeping stuff organized using like vertical space.
Yeah.
Because there's lots of sometimes upward space in closets and stuff that we're not using. Keeping it kind of accessible can be helpful.
Yep.
To getting everything you need in a small space. Because, our previous house, the pantry was like less than, maybe it was around 10 inches wide and really weirdly deep.
Oh.
So you just like put your hand back there and see if you can find anything. But I made it work. But a lot of times like a bin in the back part of it so that, you could pull stuff out easier than taking everything out individually. Mm-hmm. You could, and then eventually I got the, maybe it's like Simple Home or whatever that brand is, little like pull out shelves.
Yeah.
Because the house was older, and I know some of the newer houses have these wonderful pull-out shelves. Yeah. But I had to do it like aftermarket, Yeah, yeah. It's not a 1960s thing. So, and that was, they were a little bit more of an investment. Like I went through and bought a couple at a time, and they're hard to install because of how small the space is. But they did have the exact dimensions for that thing. And then that really helped because you could pull that thing on wheels out and then find what you wanted instead of having plastic bins, Mm-hmm. So it's just over time, like finding stuff that works for you in your budget. Mm-hmm. Here's another question. They moved into a smaller house and they feel like they're stuck and their kids are unhappy now. So how do you make the space work? They have to make it work for them.
Well, I mean, the first thing that comes to mind is really seeing what you can declutter. Yep. Really, because there's always stuff that we have that we don't need anymore. Things change, especially with kids. They're growing, their needs change. Mm-hmm. So starting with your own stuff, really see what you can downsize that you really aren't using. And that might be the only thing that needs to happen. Mm-hmm. It's possible. And at least start there. You'll feel lighter. You'll feel happier without so many things in the way.
Yep. And then I would say give it time. Yeah. Because if you had a little bit better situation or bigger or whatever, and I don't care if it's like with like you had more time and now you're more busy and you're discontent. Right. Sometimes you have to just get used to that, I hate overused word, but new normal of like, this is my life now. I need to find contentment in this. Right. And then when I lived in a really small house, I found a lot of inspiration from actually watching YouTube about like full-time RV families. Mm-hmm. Why not tiny houses? Because most of the things I looked up about tiny houses was an individual or a couple. Oh. I couldn't find anything that was like promoted as a tiny house living that had families. Oh. But RV living, lots and lots of families. Yeah. And so I just used some of their ideas or inspiration to become content and like make that house my own and love it and really embrace the small space. Yep. But it's just, I couldn't find like, maybe it's out there on YouTube, but it's just not promoted to me or something. Yeah. But I just couldn't find it. And so I watched a ton of full-time RV living with like 3 or 4 kids or more, or bus living or anything else like that. Yep. Because they had a much smaller space than me. Yep. And was finding contentment and making it their own and working with it, which of course living in a house is somewhat easier because you got all the plumbing, you don't have to deal with the water in and out. Right. That's all done. But as far as like organizing storage, it was very, finding that inspiration, surrounding yourself with other people in the same situation so that you can find that contentment and not be like looking for something else that you're not having right now. Mm-hmm. Mm-hmm.
Well, and I will say that too. It is so funny to recognize in yourself your perspective. Yeah. Because if I remember right, I think the house that we lived in with us. It was all, we have 4 kids, so 6 people. If I'm remembering right, I think it was either 1,200 or 1,500 square feet. So it was a small house, and I always felt cramped, always. But after moving out of that house and moving into an RV that is 36 feet long, and seeing all the stuff we had to get rid of because we had way too much stuff. I mean, now when I think of living in a house like that, I think my perspective will always be changed going forward. Like, I know what it's like to live in a small space in an RV. And yeah, like you said, I think it's just finding what you do have to be thankful about it and highlighting that, helping your kids find, what they have to be thankful for about your current living situation.
Yeah.
Because you can be unhappy no matter what.
Yeah.
You could have a huge house and be unhappy.
Yeah, you could have a small house with 1 bathroom and complain about that. Or you could have a large house and complain about having to clean all the bathrooms.
Right.
I mean,
right.
I can find anything to complain about. Like, I have to really work to not.
Right.
That's just my, natural is to
right.
pick out what's wrong. And
right.
so it is about, that internal struggle.
Yeah.
Or even watching documentaries about people living in other countries and no running water and how they bathe with, they have a bar of soap and that's their entire beauty routine and they sleep on a mat on the floor and be like, put it in perspective,
Yep.
Wow. Right?
Yep.
Here's a question. Have you ever flown with a family where everybody just has 1 backpack of stuff for a week? I have. Absolutely, I have. Yeah, because we like cheap tickets, right? So you go on Sun Country. Spirit is a little rough for me. I guess I've done Spirit a couple times, but run into so many problems. But I do enjoy Sun Country, and I think they're fine. Of course, nothing's like Delta, right, for flying. But they don't allow that extra carry-on. So you just have your backpack, your personal item. You can always pay for other stuff. But yeah, each of us would have a backpack for a week, flying down to New Orleans and driving for a week through to Florida. So the key there was definitely hotels with laundry. So you have a couple outfits in your bag and you wash them and you go again. That's it. Because what are you really bringing, right? Swimsuit, some shorts, outfits, wearing your heaviest stuff. So at the airport, wearing the tennis shoes that you're going to hike around with, but packing your flip-flops. Wearing maybe your pants, packing your shorts, wearing your sweatshirt, even if you take it off and tie it to your backpack or something in the airport because you're hot, but don't pack it. It'll make it not be able to fit in there. Things that make you shove your bag through. So, and then packing snacks, making room in somebody's bag. Typically the youngest because their clothes are physically smaller.
Sure. So
they can pack more. And then having that bag of snacks or the bag of toiletries. But another thing is most of the toiletries we bought when we got there. So rent the van, and then hit up Walmart or something or whatever's down there. It depends on really where you're traveling to, if they have Walmart, Target, or a different type of store. And buy that shampoo, conditioner, body wash. Buy something that everybody can use. So even I've done where I'll buy some kind of, Honest hair body wash for babies. We'll all just use it because the youngest ones can use it. It's not going to hurt me. And it's hair and body wash. I'm sure people are listening, beauty people, oh my goodness. But, we're really at the beach all the time. We're wrecking our hair anyway with all the salt water. So we're doing our best and we come home and we fix, But, so buying the toothpaste when you're down there, but packing the toothbrush, whatever you can do to put less in the bag. Yeah. And, with travel site stuff, if it's 6 people for a week, even hotel shampoo, we're going to use it up. We're not going to be able to take just one travel size. And I don't want to have everybody with a liquids bag in case you're at the TSA where they're take out your liquids, take out your snacks. And I have to do that for everybody versus one big bag and we can just pop through it. Yeah. And some security, they don't want you to take it out. Right. Some you do. So I never know what's going to happen. Right. But yeah, I've done it and that's the big thing. So if you have a baby, throw a couple diapers in the bag, and then when you get there, buy the diapers. And then when you leave, hopefully you've used it up. Or I've had it at the last hotel where I'll just ask someone in maintenance or at the front desk, hey, do you want any of this stuff? I have an unused this. I have a cooler we bought and we used all week for food. do you want it? I don't want it. Just toss it. And they're like, oh, sure. Yeah. But I'm sure in really tourist towns, they probably get way too much of that. So we were not flying out of a really touristy area, just like more of a normal area. Yeah. So it wasn't like, oh, to add to the 200th cooler we got this week. But yeah, we've done it, and it is easy, And then the bigger thing is like the car seat. But typically they let you take that in addition to whatever you're bringing. So that's probably the heaviest thing we've had to bring.
Someone here is asking what tips anyone has for a minimal to no spend year. I have never done a whole year no spend. But what experience do you have with it, Jody?
Well, mentally gearing up for it. Any YouTube podcast or book you can read about the topic ahead of time to get you really pumped for it, or joining a Facebook group about it. Any kind of support you can have, because it will be hard. Yeah. There will be things that come up. Also setting rules. Write down the rules. Like, can you buy, obviously you're going to buy food and consumables like soap and stuff, right? You're not going to just stop washing your laundry and your dishes. So having the list of what you're allowing for yourself to buy and what you're not buying. Some people will do like a no spend, we're not going to eat out. Yeah. Or we're not going to buy something, right? Right. So in the book, what's the name of it? It's like a yellow book, A Year Without a Purchase or something like that. He talked about they had a rule of they could buy whatever food, but not non-consumable items, clothing, toys, whatever. And because they didn't have the ability to go shopping for that dopamine hit, they ended up buying a lot of desserts. Ice creams, like grocery store food. And so he gained weight because he was like, oh, this isn't the rule. Yeah. I'll just do that. I'll just get ice cream every night. Like, he had that reward coming from somewhere. So just be aware of that you might go looking for your reward somewhere else. But he had funny stories about, like, he forgot to bring socks on a work trip. So then he just, like, washed his socks in the hotel sink and let them dry, but they weren't all the way dry. Oh, no. Because hotels are always a little damp, So just funny stories throughout the book. But anything you can do to inspire yourself, but then also to get that accountability and get some rules written down of what does that mean to you.
That's a wrap for today's episode, where we've answered questions from our members. We hope you enjoyed delving into this topic with us and found a few tips that might help you on your journey. We want to extend a heartfelt thank you to our amazing listeners for tuning in. Your support and curiosity are what keeps us going. For more tools and resources to help you on your journey toward a simpler life, visit our website, www.123minimize.com. If you found today's episode valuable, don't forget to subscribe to this podcast so you never miss an opportunity to explore new ideas and perspectives. And if you're inclined, leave us a review, which helps to spread the word to others who might enjoy the journey too. As always, feel free to connect with us on Facebook or Instagram to share your thoughts, suggestions, or just to say hi. Until next time, stay motivated. Take care.